Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Car and Truck Talk. It's your source for information on cars, trucks, SUVs, and even, yes, occasionally some motorcycles. My name is Rich Baxter, and I'm joined by my good friend here on Car and Truck Talk, Mr. Rick Nizzolo.
Hey, Rich. How are you? Good evening on this rainy Friday night here in South Jersey.
Yes, good evening, Rick, and we're streaming live tonight on Google+, and what a great thing this is, Rick. It's a Google Hangout, one of the latest tools for broadcasters and podcasters and business meetings and things like that. It's one of the cool things that's going on the internet today. Google+ with their cool Hangout features.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, Rich. I'm not super familiar with that, but hey, whatever works and whatever gets our listeners to hear us better, and it's nice to have other platforms to hear us on, which always works out good for everyone.
That's for sure. And of course, I had my pre-show microphone difficulties, so we apologize. Starting off a few minutes late tonight on the podcast here. Well, Rick, it's early June, and we were going to lead this show off with a topic that's dear to our hearts a lot, and that's summertime driving with the family and getting together. And what a better time to do that than June. A lot of people are getting out of school now. The kids are getting out of school. And it's just that kind of great weather that we've been waiting for since, all through spring now.
Absolutely. It's car care season. Everybody wants to get the cars up and ready for their road trips, and we're going to touch upon that this evening. Just before we get into that, I did notice tonight down here in South Jersey, a lot of limousines tonight. I'm assuming there's a lot of proms going on. And really nice one that I've seen that I really fell in love with was the Dodge Challenger limousine. I've never seen one in person before. I knew they made it, but I finally got to see one. And man, what a gorgeous car. And it had strobes on it and all. And it was really done right. And there's a place not too far from where I was going to that must have been hosting the prom tonight. So there's about 6 different limousines in front of it. And everything was shining and gleaming, which is perfect discussion for tonight because we're going to get into car care and cleaning your car and how to detail your car tonight, Reggie.
Very cool. That's interesting. I never ran across the Challenger limo before, and God, they'll just about make anything into the limo package these days. And how interesting is that? Wow, cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I don't know if you'd actually want to run across it, Rich. You might scratch it. You may want to just sit back and let it drive past you.
Exactly. You don't want to roll around on top of it. But, yeah, the limo industry is alive and well. And like Rick said, we emanate our show right outside of Atlantic City, New Jersey. So, of course, we see a lot of limousines, a lot of the latest stuff rolling down the road, party buses and things like that. But, Rick, it's time for family driving. As we said, we're going to talk about some car care tonight. And we're going to even talk about a subject that just came up in the news within the last couple of days. It's the Jeep National Transportation Safety recall. They are recommending that Jeep have a recall on a lot of Jeep vehicles, a couple million of them, Rick. And I know you've probably read this in the news and heard it in the last couple of days, and we're going to talk about that during the show also.
Yes, I believe it's the Grand Cherokees, if I'm not mistaken, with the fuel tank issue on impact. There was explosions and quite a few deaths were reported.
Yes, that the Grand Cherokee and also the Liberty, 2 models of the Jeep that's been a mainstay of the Jeep family for many years now, and the issue is, as Rick said, the rear gas tanks are too close to the bumpers. I know from personal experience, a lot of the Liberties have the gas tank right underneath the bumper. So apparently there's been a lot of injuries, some deaths, as Rick has said, and finally something is getting done about it. But it seems like Chrysler is assuring us that this is not a real problem in design, and things do happen on the road, and they're refusing so far to take part in this recall that was requested by the National Transportation Safety Board here in the United States. But Rick, I wonder if we can kind of play the devil's advocate here and kind of break this down a little bit. What do you kind of think about this? Do you think that it deserves a recall, or is it something that's going to happen anyway in the case of rear-end accidents?
I believe they had the same problem with the Crown Victoria, but the only thing that they're going to do to rectify it in the future is to redesign it. They might have already done that. I'm not clear as to what the repair is on this recall. I don't know if you have that information in front of you, because I don't know exactly what the repair is. I don't know if they're putting something between the bumper and the fuel tank. I really don't know. But as you were saying, it's one of the most popular vehicles. Jeep Grand Cherokee and Liberty is very popular. Even though the Liberty, I don't think at this point, I think they changed the model. The Liberty actually replaced a regular box Cherokee. In 2002, the Liberty came out. In 2001, it was the Cherokee. I don't think that regular Cherokees are involved in this. I don't believe so. But I don't know the repair. Rich, do you have that information?
Let me bring it up here on the web. That's one of the good things about the studios here at Car and Truck Talk, where we tape our shows from. We always have the latest updated information. And let's see. I know.
And of course, to our listeners, if any of our listeners do own one of these vehicles, your best bet is to contact your local Jeep dealer for further details to see if your vehicle is included in the recall. Don't just go by what we're saying. Do your own homework. We're just giving you general information on what we know. But of course, for your specific year, make, and model, your best bet is to always contact a dealer and make sure you have your VIN number in hand to call when you call. That way they can determine whether your specific vehicle is involved in that recall. Your VIN number is basically everything you need, because it tells the dealer and pretty much anybody what your vehicle is, what engine's in it, what year it is, and basically the trim. It's all going to be included in that. So always have that handy whenever you're calling the dealer. That's usually what they're going to want to know.
Exactly, Rick. And a couple days ago when this show, or actually this story broke, there was a request by the National Highway Transportation and Safety Administration for up to 2.7 million Jeeps that now federal safety officials say are dangerous and should be recalled. And that's not a matter that they generally take lightly. They know it's going to cost the manufacturer millions and millions of dollars. And in this case, Rick, government data showed that there was 44 deaths in 32 rear-end crashes involving the Grand Cherokees and 7 deaths in 5 Liberty rear impact crashes as well. So they're starting to notice a trend in this, and it's something that Chrysler has refused to do anything about. They've taken quite a bold stand on this, and they've basically contested the report by the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, and they're contesting it to the point where they're not doing anything about it right at the moment.
Oh, okay, they're not. Okay, well that answers why I didn't know what they were doing for a repair. It's like anything else. I know the Crown Victoria's had an issue. I don't remember the details on that, but I remember they had a rear impact issue with the same thing with the gas tank exploding. But going back into the 70s, Rich, if you remember the Ford pickup trucks, and a lot of pickup trucks, but mainly the Fords that stand out in my mind, from 77 for sure and back, and probably 78, even 79, I'm not sure exactly when they changed to the tank inside the frame. They had the gas tank literally behind the seat. And even older cars, they had fuel tanks right in front of the dashboard. And even the 86 and back Chevy pickups, they had the gas tank on the driver's side outside the frame. And they had an issue where if you got, if there was a vehicle that crashed into the side, it wasn't even protected by a frame. I think it was 73 to 86 Chevy pickups. There's been a lot of issues with design. I don't know if you want to call it a flaw, but with design issues with gas tanks, and I just named a few right there with issues where if you had a rear impact, you're in that Ford pickup. up with the gas tank right behind you, you have a hard enough rear impact. Literally, that gas tank is going to be on your back. And literally, the fuel is going to be on you. Any spark or anything, it's going to burn you alive. I mean, it's gross to sound and hear this, but it's a fact. But, I mean, again, they look at the ratio for how many people are actually getting injured versus how many are on the road, and that's kind of what they got to weigh out. And it's kind of unfortunate because one death or one injury is one too many, but they look at it out of how many thousands and thousands are on the road, so to speak. For one injury, they're not going to recall thousands and thousands and thousands because everything is on an individual basis as far as the accidents.
Absolutely. So we're going to keep a close eye on this recall advisory by the government here, and we're going to keep a close eye on a lot of the recalls. Jeep just announced a separate recall, not even involving this, around the same time. It must have been a coincidence. They were about ready to announce a separate recall of their own with a different model, but they definitely stated that they are not going along with this at this time. Of course, it would cost them maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, Rick, depending on what the fix would be, because you're not going to just automatically relocate a fuel tank no matter what. And a lot of these vehicles are kind of older now, and I guess Chrysler has taken the opinion that they're just not going to do anything about this. So it's going to be interesting the way this shakes out. I'm sure the courts are going to be hearing this quite soon because we want to see everybody safe out there on the roads. And Rick, I wanted to remind our listeners to stop by the website. It's carandtrucktalk.com. You can find out some of our articles, read some of the features that we have there. And also there's a video link for repairs. A lot of people that listen to the show are mechanics, and they tune in from time to time, and we appreciate that. And you can even listen to our podcast right there on the website. We have a player there that you can check out all the past episodes of the show. And Rick, we're moving on with the show now, talking about that summer driving experience. And we had some nice days in the past week here out where we do our show here in South Jersey. And just a fun time to get together with family and get the dog or the cat out, take them out for a ride.
Absolutely. It's that time of year, and car shows and cruises and races and everything from pretty much soup to nuts here. You got an automotive industry and plenty of things to do for the hobbyist and the enthusiast. And getting to our main topic and discussion tonight is car care, Rich. As everybody knows, on that Saturday morning and a nice day, and usually you got kids and everybody just wants to get out there and scrub down that car. And tonight we're going to discuss the very easy to do-it-yourselfer proper steps to basically a complete detail that you see people spending hundreds of dollars on these high-end cars to get a full detail. And we're going to run over that step-by-step tonight for our listeners, Rich, and they can get that $100 detail done at home for pennies pretty much on the dollar. And we'll kind of run through what products to buy, and pretty much we're not getting paid by these companies. We're just telling them what works, and we'll pretty much tell everybody tonight what works and how you get that nice detail and that real good shine on that car.
Absolutely. And Rick and I both work in the automotive field, of course, as well as doing this show and having some internet websites and things on cars. But Rick, as you said, the care of a car is very expensive anymore. I have a fellow that I work with, and he had somebody come over and detail a truck of his, and it was close to $200 by the time they were done. Granted, they did a good job, but like you said, Rick, I think that's an excellent project for maybe the family to tackle. You get some inexpensive cleaning materials, some nice clean rags, and you just go to town. And I was kind of surprised that this buddy of mine actually paid for the cleaning and preservation of his car, because kind of $200, you could think of a lot better things to do with than spend it on somebody else cleaning your car.
Exactly, and a lot of the products you can buy, you can probably get everything, depending on what name brand products you buy, and there's a lot out there, but you can pretty much, if you just stay simple, you can probably get everything you need for, I would say, less than $50, probably even less than that, depending on where you shop. And the other thing is you're going to have these products for at least a year to 2 years past when you use it. So you're really getting your money's worth. And we're just going to go right into it, Rich. I'm not even going to waste any more time because I'm sure our listeners want to know. The main number one mistake, and I want to throw this out first, that people do is and I'm sure you heard this before, is you use dish detergent in water for your car washing detergent. And that's definitely a no-no. And the main reason why is because most dish detergents will actually cut through your wax on your car, and you don't want that. It's good to take grease and stuff off, but, your car's not a dish. It's not something, your fork or your knife that you're eating with. It's not like that. And you don't want to remove your layers of wax. You want to get a specific car wash concentrate, because a concentrate you mix with water, you don't need a lot to do it with. And again, you're going to have it for time to come. So you get a good car wash concentrate, liquid form, okay, and usually it just requires a capful in a bucket of water, and it's going to be good for all finishes. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing you want to buy when you're doing your car care, is the soap. That's the very first thing, because before you do any type of detailing or any type of waxing or polishing or any of that stuff, you're going to want to get a good car wash. Now, what we're going to discuss tonight is for the regular, average homeowner who just has a nice car and they want to detail it with what they have access to. And we're not going to get into buffers and all that. That's not necessary to get a professional-looking detail. The things we're going to discuss tonight, Rich, is strictly things that you can do by hand. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, and it's products you can pick up at your local auto parts store or even local department store for that matter.
Yes, indeed. And a lot of these items, as Rick has said, you don't have to go to a high-end detail shop. You're just getting some clean rags in most instances, some non-harsh chemicals. One of the tips that I've learned along the way, believe it or not, a household Q-tip you might have laying around the house. That's going to clean inside the little crevices around your radio and maybe where you keep your coffee cup. And it's going to help make your car look brand new. And who doesn't love a brand new looking car, and one that smells good, of course, and that's going to keep you interested in driving your car. It's going to give you a lot of pride, and it's going to lift the spirits up. So we're going to give you a few car cleaning tips tonight, Rick. And number one, I would say, your interiors. You spend most of the time in your car driving, so why not make it look good and especially be clean? So one of the first areas that I like to clean, Rick, is my dashboard. It's always getting dusty and around. Now there's a lot of pollen in the air, and it's always getting full of pollen. So what I'll do is take a nice clean rag, and I like Simple Green myself. I have a diluted jar of Simple Green spray jar that I keep, and that's what I like to clean my dashboard off with.
Yeah, Rich, that's an excellent all-purpose cleaner. Simple Green, it's non-toxic. It has a pretty decent smell to it, and a lot of them come concentrated already. That's an excellent all-purpose cleaner. Like Rich was saying, you're going to start off basically just overall cleaning the interior of your car. Very good place to start. A lot of people start on the outside and then work in. I don't necessarily like to do that. I like to do inside out as well. The very first thing, obviously, you're going to want to do is pretty much get all the big stuff out as far as your, whatever, if you have clothes in there, tote bag, get all that stuff out of there. Get the car basically as if it was coming off the showroom where it had nothing in it but basically floor mats. Mm-hmm. Get all your stuff, personal belongings out of the car, your CDs, get all that out of there. A lot of that stuff holds dust, it holds dirt. You never know what you'll find in there. So you also have bugs that hide in there. Get all that stuff out. This is how you get a good, clean interior. In addition to, or in place of, the Simple Green with the rag, Armor All makes cleaning wipes. If you don't want to sit there and spray on a rag, which is perfectly fine, but if you don't want to do that, you can just get these cleaning wipes. It's almost like a baby wipe container or a handy wipe container. And you pull out the little wipe. It's already moistened, ready to go. And you can basically clean your interior just by popping the wipe out and going over everything. steering wheel, the dash, all the trim. You could go over everything. It's not going to ruin anything. It's a good product out there. Once you get all that clean, obviously you have vinyl. I don't know, some of you have vinyl, some of you have material, fabric, leather, seats. You want to treat your seats. If you have leather, there's leather cleaners. Again, Armor All makes a leather wipe. Wipes are easy. They're a little bit more expensive than the liquids, but again, we're looking for easy here. You want to get the job done quickly, and you want it to look really good and professional. You could go over your leather with a nice leather wipe that they make from Armor All. And again, I'm not endorsing Armor All. I'm just telling you what's out there that works. You want to go over your seats. If they're just regular fabric, you can just go over the damp cloth. Unless there's a stain. If there's a stain, you can have upholstery cleaners that they make. I know Turtle Wax makes them. It's an upholstery cleaner. It has a little brush on it. That works. Believe it or not, shaving cream works. With a toothbrush, any of that, if you have any stains you want to lift out of your fabric, that would definitely work well. It also works on your carpets. You want to vacuum your interior out. Definitely want to get all that dirt and dust out of there. Vacuum all that. Go over your mats. If you have rubber mats, go over them with a brush. Soap and water, brush them out, dry them with a towel. Real simple stuff. It's not hard. It just takes a little bit of time. You can get all that done properly. And, of course, once you have that all clean, you just put a little spritz of air freshener of your favorite scent. If you want to put one of those old-fashioned trees in there, anything. There's so much out there today that you can use. That's how you would finish off that interior. You want to wash the glass, but use newspapers, because newspapers don't leave any lint. A lot of people don't realize that. Use a nice window cleaner, a foam one, Windex, whatever you prefer. You're going to clean your windows. You're going to use newspaper to dry it. It's one of the tricks of the trade. Dry it with newspaper. It works great. Do you have anything else to add to that, Rich? You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Rick said, to get with the cloth style cleaners like the Armor All, there are other brands out there as well. And you're not buying 20 rags to use as well. And it's a nice product and contained in the one convenient container. You can use it over and over, and it stores well. As Rick said, they make a number of great products for the exterior glass, the interior, your dashboard, and they're very keen on helping you clean your car with less fuss. You don't need to have 20 buckets and 20 rags out there when you have these type products. So they've made it a lot easier for the consumer. And again, you can find those at your large retailers, and your favorite auto parts store should have them in stock as well. Be a chance for you to go in there and maybe say hello to one of the parts professionals, and then you build a relationship that way. You know, you start talking cars a little bit, and then all of a sudden you got somebody on your side that's going to help you down the road. If you have a problem with your car, probably going to be a little knowledgeable to help you. And along the way, you're going to be doing yourself and your family a benefit by keeping your car clean. It's one of those things that, Rick, a lot of the times the families are so busy anymore with school functions and sports, they don't have time to do this. But this is one of those activities that sort of gets pushed aside a lot, and then before you know it, your family's all grown up, and everybody's out on their own. So take the time now, get together as a family. It's great fun. You get away from the computer, you get away from the house for a little bit, and you go out and clean your car.
Exactly. And just to pretty much finish off the interior, like I said, you're basically going to vacuum. You're going to go over your mats. If there's any stains, you're going to use a foam cleaner, upholstery carpet cleaner, or shaving cream and a brush. Like Rich said earlier, Q-tips work well for that real detailed look to get inside the vents and all around the trim and them real tight places. Simple Green's a good product. Again, you're going to dilute it with water because it's concentrated. You basically just want to go over every nook and cranny and section it. Do the dashboard, then do the front seat, the other front seat. You don't look at it as, the whole interior, because it becomes overwhelming. Just do one section at a time, and the next thing you know, it's completely finished. And always finish it off with a nice scent. And that takes care of the interior. It's very simple.
Correct. And, of course, don't spray any materials right onto electronic pieces. I know a lot of the cars today, especially the Fords, they have the internet type connectors, the USB connectors. Don't get chemicals near that. Try to spray your product. If you use a nice simple green or something like that, something that's biodegradable, spray it onto the rag itself. Don't go to town spraying it all over your car because you're going to maybe short something out or ruin something along the way. So have a little common sense when it comes to cleaning your car. And Rick, a lot of these people are going to be driving around with shiny machines soon. I would have.
I'm sorry, Rich, a little issue with the audio there. What was that?
Yeah, I said with all these tips, I think a lot of these listeners out there are going to be driving around in shiny machines soon.
Yeah, exactly. Moving right along now, because I'm sure some of our listeners are getting a little edgy here. Got one of my fans listening, and they're actually texting me in the process saying, all right, get on with it. That's very good feedback for us. Basically, for the exterior now, we're going to just run right through, use an ordinary garden hose. Some people will tell you nozzles make a difference. As long as your nozzle puts out a nice spray, you don't want a straight stream. You kind of want that spray, that wider spray that has a little bit of pressure to it, but you don't want that straight stream and a lot of pressure. You don't need that to really clean your car. Power washing is always good. People like to do that. The problem with power washing is you have to spend the money and your time, 2 minutes. And I'm not a big fan of that because you want to do it right at home. You don't want to be limited. Just get a decent nozzle that has a nice wider spray. Some people call them fire nozzles with a fire spray along those lines where it's, pretty wide. You still have a decent amount of pressure, so you're going to get off any dirt and grime. You want to start from the roof down. Water travels down, so you always start at the highest point, work your way down. So that way everything's going to pass over it. So when you wet your car, start from the top down. Whatever you're driving, whether it's a truck, car, doesn't matter, even motorcycle, whatever you're doing in cleaning, you always start from the top and work your way down. That's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make. They start on the side of the car and work their way backwards. You don't do that. It's top down. Once you get your car totally wet, like I said, you use a concentrated, regular car wash soap that's designed for car wash, and you put it in a bucket. Make sure that you fill that bucket up and it suds up. You want the suds.
Okay.
You don't want just water settling there with the soap. It has to be suds. You want them white suds. Use a nice sponge. A dog bone sponge is very popular. They're like $1, $2.
Mm-hmm.
Get it nice and soapy. After the car is soaking wet, you're going to go over it again, top down. Go over every nook and cranny. Put it in the glass with that soap. It doesn't matter because you're going to go over the glass again anyway.
Exactly.
Go over everything.
And
Take
Rick.
your time, do circular motions, get it all clean.
Okay.
Then you're going to rinse the car off. Same thing, top down.
Let's take
One sec, you got the part. I'm sorry, go ahead, Rich. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, let's take a poll. What's your favorite car wash soap for all the listeners out there? I know I have one, and I know just about everybody that hand washes their car probably does. What's your favorite car wash soap?
There's actually two. There's the Turtle Wax. It's blue, and it's in a clear bottle. And I believe there's a Blue Coral that's clear bottle, and it's blue. And they come in a pretty large jug, and they probably last about 8 years.
Yeah.
If you really know how to use it.
Exactly. I know you're familiar with this one. It's an old product. It's been around forever. The old DuPont number 7 would rank as my favorite car wash soap. It comes in a little container that you rip off the top. It's a gray container, if I remember correctly. I probably have some out in the garage. And it's a powdery substance, but you don't have to use much, and it really lathers up well. It gets a nice lather to it.
Yep, and I do recall that it's almost like a cascade type of material. Yes, it's a powder. I do recall that one. Anything, we're not specifically telling our listeners what to use. We're just recommending what works for us. Anything you prefer, as long as it's safe for all finishes, and you're going to mix it with water anyway, and it suds up, that's all that matters. Name brand doesn't matter. They're all competitive. Some people are going to like one over the other. It really is no difference. It's what you personally like. Getting back to that, once your car is sudsed up now, you're going to scrub every spot. You're going to, even the tires. We're going to go back to that later on, but you're going to basically go over every exterior component of that car with that sponge and soap. Then you're going to go back over it with the hose and get all that soap off. Your next step is use a chamois. You can use an imitation chamois. It doesn't matter. Just use one of those types of things to dry your car off. You'll get rid of all the streaks and water spots. If you do it the right way, you'll have no problem at all. Again, top down. Get all the water off. Now, you pretty much got your car completely washed. Now you start getting to the shine part. And this is where the detailing comes into. And this is where you get the best bang for your buck because you're not spending that fortune. After you get the car all done, you're going to go back over the windows. You're going to use a window cleaner of your choice, whether it's Windex, whether it's the foamy stuff, invisible glass, any of those products that you prefer. Use newspapers again to go over all your glass. Take your windshield wiper blades, go over them with an alcohol wipe, just a typical alcohol wipe that you would use for wounds or whatever, those little square, tiny alcohol wipes. Just go over it. It'll rejuvenate the rubber. And that's pretty much it with the glass, and that's pretty much it with your windows. You're going to start moving on to your wax now. And this is where a lot of people get either scared or don't know how to do it. It's very simple. I personally like a liquid wax. I'm old school. I like the No Touch. It's New Finish. I'm sorry, not No Touch. New Finish. It's in the orange bottle. You can go with a paste wax like Turtle Wax. They come with an applicator pad. The New Finish liquid that I prefer, it does not come in an applicator pad. You can buy one for $1.
Yep.
You always want to put it on the applicator pad and go in a circular motion. Not big circles, just a small circular motion. What I like about New Finish, there's really no buffing. There's nothing really involved with it. It's just very simple. You apply it and just rub it right off. The way you do it, to not get overwhelmed and to not get that caked on wax look, and here's the biggest trick, is you section the car. And what I mean by that is you start with the roof, you put it on, just start from say the windshield to the back, you put it on, and then you take it off. You're done. You just did the roof, the entire roof. Then you go to the hood. You start at one section of the hood and go over to the other side. Put it on, put it off. When you're taking it off, you could use a towel, you could use a cheesecloth towel, terry cloth towel, a clean rag, whatever. It's very simple. It's a very easy product to use. And that's one of the products I'm going to be a little biased on, so to speak, is the New Finish because I know it works. It's very simple. But there's thousands of products. Mother's has got products. They have step-by-step products. They have numbers. McGuire's have products. Again, they have numbers. It all depends on how in-depth you want to go. There's clay bars to get a lot of stuff. We're not talking show cars. Most of our listeners drive their cars every day. You want it to look beautiful, but we're not in a show here where, you're worrying about every little tiny little speck. You're going to get 99% of this stuff clean anyway, but you're not being judged, and we're not judging you. You just want the car to look beautiful. And what we're telling you here is going to do that. So when you're waxing this car, you're going to section off. Once you do the hood, you put it on, you take it off again, then you go to your trunk lid, then you do it one fender, then the door, then the rear door if it's a four-door, then your quarter panel. You're going to work all around in sections. Don't do the whole car and then go back, because a lot of times the sun gets on it and it'll take on a little bit, and then you have trouble getting it off. If you do it in sections, it's going to be perfect. So now you're pretty much washed, you're pretty much waxed. Now you go to the tires and wheels. The wheels, they make cleaners for every type of wheel. Aluminum, steel, any type of wheel, they make a cleaner for it. Make sure you buy a cleaner that's specific for your wheel. Now don't forget, your wheels are going to be somewhat clean because you just went over them with the sponge prior. But you want to go break dust off, you want them to shine. There's different brushes you can use. There's power balls that they make that you can put on a drill. You don't have to go all that extreme, but you can do whatever works for you. A brush, a rag, it all depends on how in-depth your wheels are, whether they're wire wheels, hubcaps, whatever. Just buy the proper cleaner specific for what you have. Go over every nook and cranny. Once you have them clean, that's it. You're done. You just clean them. The tires, you already clean them with your sponge when you wash the car initially. You get a tire wet. Black Magic makes a fantastic tire wet. You just go over it, and it stays. You don't have to dry it or wash it or nothing. It just spray it on, and it's done. The tires look wet. They look brand new.
Yep. And
pretty much done at this point. There's really not much more to do. You just pretty much detailed your car. You spent $50 or less, and all the products that you just used, you're going to use them again the next 6 months or a year, because New Finish is a yearly product, by the way. But however often you wash your car, you're not going to have to polish it every time. This is pretty much for the springtime. Once a year, you're getting yourself cleared out, and you're good to go.
That's right, Rick. And as you said, section your car off when you're waxing it. Don't do more than than a quarter at a time, because chances are you're going to get called away. Then you got a problem. That if your car's sitting out in the sun, it's going to be harder to get off for you. And I've had people come in to the stores that I've worked in, Rick, over the years, and then they'd have to get an applicator, a special applicator, to take some of that wax off if it gets baked in there. So, like Rick said, try to section it off into small sections. Do one section and move on to the next.
Exactly, Rich. And I'm getting a text here as we're speaking on the show. One of our listeners is saying, what about convertible tops and vinyl tonneau covers and things like that? They make special cleaners for those items. Just because you have a convertible top, okay, yes, you're not going to wax it, but they make a special cleaner for that. So you're going to just use the cleaner that's made for that top and follow it as directed. Really, to get that clean, detailed look, you don't need to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You just need to know what products to get and know how to do the job. You don't need an expensive buffer. You don't need all that. Again, if you're going for a show where you're in a car show and you're being judged or something like that, that's a different story. That's when you get involved with the clay bars and the step-by-step processes. But most average people, they just want their cars clean, really looking brand new, and they want that shine, they want that gleam, they want that nice smell, and they really want it, basically brand new again. And what we're telling you is basically all you need to do. You don't need to go crazy. And, some of the car guys out there, they might disagree with us, but again, it's specific to what you want. We're giving a generalization to the average person that drives their car every day, that takes their kids to soccer and school, and in the summertime, I know there's no school, whether it's day camp, vacation. This is going to apply to the majority of our listeners.
Very cool, Rick, and that's a great tip. We hope a lot of these small tips will help you out there and taking care of your car, not just in the summertime, but all year round. And if you have a question for us, you can email it in to talk@carandtrucktalk.com. You can ask us a question. We'll try to get it on the air. That's talk@carandtrucktalk.com. Stop by the blog. Check out what we have to offer there. And Rick, for a tech tip tonight, we're going to go into the world of parts. And these aren't a sponsor of our show or anything, but we're just going to let people know that they're out there, and if you have some car trouble, you might want to look into this company, and that's DormanProducts.com. They're one of the big aftermarket suppliers of parts that are known to fail. So if you go onto their website over at DormanProducts.com, you're going to check out a lot of what they have to offer. And, Rick, what they have mainly are a lot of the small parts, because they have a brand called Motormite, and they also have help, a help section. And some of those smaller parts are the hardest parts to find for your car, and you might just end up finding a listing on this website. It's DormanProducts.com, Rick, and I know you're very familiar with them.
Absolutely, and just a good example of one of the parts that Rich is referring to on a Jeep Cherokee, again, going back to the Jeeps, the older Cherokees from 84 to 2001, they had a problem with their wiper linkage. They're just little plastic bushings that connect the linkages together. And what would happen is when you shut the wipers off, they don't park all the way down. They actually sit up a little bit, and almost a quarter of the way up the windshield, unless they're really wet, and then they can park right, or they would start smacking back and forth, up and down. They actually smack the cowl and smack the trim on the side of the windshield when it comes in the up position. And the problem is there's little plastic bushings inside the wiper transmission where it links together. They wear out. And one of the products that Dorman makes are those little plastic bushings for that problem, and it will solve that problem. So just a quick example of one of the products that they do offer, and it's a great lifesaver because you can't really buy it at the dealer anymore because it's an obsolete product.
Exactly, and that's what this company specializes in. They live off of dealer parts that go wrong more than others, and they have a lot of the smaller parts that you're going to need for your car. You're going to probably find them at a parts store, and go to the website over there at DormanProducts.com, and It's going to teach you a lot about your car. They have just about everything from moving car parts to parts for under the hood, under your car, maintenance items like mechanics wire and things like that. Rick, they're a really smart company. They actually source from dealers and they find out the problems that different dealers are having with their vehicles through one method or another, and they find out the parts that are extremely prone to fail more than others, and they start capitalizing on that. They'll try to make a product that is equal to or better than what the dealer has to offer at a decent price. So, they're one of those companies that really helps the motorist go along with their daily chores of driving from point A to point B. Without this company, you'd probably be ending up going to the dealer for about 70 to 80% of what they have to offer, and it's kind of a lifesaver for a lot of people, Rick.
Absolutely, and even going to a junkyard or used auto parts, you're not going to always find these parts, and if you do find them, they're pretty much in poor condition. So it's companies like that that really help our industry and help the consumer really well.
Yep, you're going to find a lot of just the small parts like your coolant hose connectors. You're not going to need one until your coolant hose goes bad, or maybe you have to flush the system. But then you're going to probably look for this company. They have spark plug thread repairs. I had a conversation with one of our listeners a while ago, probably 2 weeks ago, Rick, and he had a problem with the Ford 5.4 liter. Spark plugs are very prone to getting baked into the area where they get screwed into the head, and when you go to take them out sometimes, snap. They break off, and half of it ends up in the cylinder head. They have to be drilled out, and then you have to retap the threading on most instances if you want to attempt it yourself, and that's just one of those products that they offer, the 4.6 liter Ford spark plug thread repair kit. They even include the spark plug with a lot of those thread repair kits, and it's one of those things that really helps the motorist.
Exactly, Rich. And unfortunately, I don't really want to get off our topic here, but just to touch base on that Ford issue with the spark plugs, the problem actually is the person removing them. There's actually a Ford recommended sequence and procedure how to remove them. When you don't follow that procedure, that's how they break. And I would say about 99% of the shops out there don't even know that procedure, including the dealership, which I don't know why. I've just seen that over time. They're always breaking because they're not following the procedure recommended by Ford. So if you have one of these vehicles, or if you know someone that has the spark plug break, I hate to say it, but the problem is, and the fact is, they broke because they didn't follow the proper procedure recommended by Ford how to remove them. There's a specific procedure how to do it with spraying fluids and turning a quarter of a turn and waiting. And it's a whole process, and it's hours and hours. And most shops don't have hours and hours to wait because they feel they lose money. But look into it. There's a fact there, and that's the problem with these Fords. There's a procedure that's not being followed. But because of that, and because people don't follow procedure, they're breaking these plugs. Fortunately for companies like Dorman, they do make those products that are going to help you in that situation.
Yes, they do. And a lot of people can find out maybe some flaws in their own cars that they're driving around. Just browse their catalog a little bit. You can go right online. They make door handles, everything that you would think you would get from a dealer or, like Rick said, an auto salvage yard. And they even rate parts how they're failure prone. For example, they just added a lot of keyless remotes, and if you ever tried to get one from a dealer, you're probably going to shell out at least $100 or more. And they're offering a lot of different General Motors keyless entry remotes now for probably a third of that. So check that out. Great way to save money, and it's a great way to get more familiar with your car.
Absolutely, Rich. Very good point. Very good point. And again, you can find this at any of your local auto parts stores or better retailers that have auto parts will have some of these products on their hand and in stock.
And Rick, I know in past Car and Truck Talk shows, we've had an interesting guest on, and I'm going to see if he'll be able to join us on an upcoming edition. His name is Mark Hicks. He's the technical senior manager over at Wells Electronics. They're a great ignition and car vehicle electronics firm out there in Wisconsin, out near Milwaukee, I believe. And we're going to try to get him on an upcoming edition of Car and Truck Talk USA. He's always an interesting guest, Rick. He's up on the latest car fixes. He's always there to help. And he's one of those guys that the automobile industry is great to have.
Absolutely, Rich, and I'll be looking forward to speaking with him myself. I haven't spoken with him personally yet. I know who he is and all, but I haven't personally met him formally or anything, but I'll be looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition of Car and Truck Talk. Rick, as we make an exit here, any final words for this show on this week, first week of June here, as we're closing out tonight's show?
Just that, as you all know, we are recording the show live, so if we forgot anything or if you wanted to add any information, Rich gave you the information, you can email us. If you have any questions on anything that we discussed tonight, again, we might have left something out. We do this strictly pretty much off the top of our heads with just a minimal guideline. We're just trying to help you guys out. We're unscripted, so anything we might have forgotten, or if any of our listeners said, you forgot something here, we'll always correct it in the next show or future show. So don't hesitate to contact us for anything. If you have any questions, car questions, some of them we read on the air, we'll get back to you through email, if not on the air. So don't hesitate to contact us with comments or anything we might have screwed up or whatever. We're here to learn just as well as we're here to teach.
Exactly, and that's the great thing about cars. You never, ever know everything about them. And as Rick said, we're always open to suggestions, and actually a lot of what our listeners request is what we talk about. So Car and Truck Talk is here for you. You can check us out at iTunes, listen to the podcast right from your iTunes, your iPod player, your iPads. And we're also with Spreaker.com. They're fairly new. They offer a great podcast player. In fact, our first show that we've done in a while, back in May, is on the website at carandtrucktalk.com. You can follow the show from Spreaker.com as well. And Rick, it was a great show here. I'm already looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely, Rich. And again, to all our listeners, if you're going to go out there tomorrow and start washing your cars, remember some of the tips we gave you and enjoy washing and cleaning and get that car looking sharp. Have a good night, everyone, and thanks for listening to us. Rich with the final word.
All right, very good, Rick. And we're here for you at Car and Truck Talk, your maintenance, your repairs, buying and selling, cleaning your cars, and a whole lot more. We're looking forward to talking to you on the next edition of Car and Truck Talk.